Are you a Christian woman entrepreneur looking to increase your income, your impact, and your faith?
Are you ready to dream the impossible, knowing that with God, all things truly are possible?
It's time to create divine millionaire momentum while keeping God as your CEO. Join me, Allie Porter, your Christian Connector Concierge.
And me, Elise Smith, your Christian business strategist, as we unite our shows to bring you a dynamic and faith-infused experience.
In this inspiring show, you'll gain access to powerful insights, biblical business strategies, and the real-life stories of Christian women entrepreneurs focused on 10xing their income, their impact, and their faith just like you.
Discover how to unlock your full potential, kick that inner dream stealer to the curb, embrace a divine wealth mindset, and reach the goals that God has placed on your heart. Allie and I will guide you on a journey to not only reach your goals, but also strengthen your relationship with God as your ultimate CEO.
With divine millionaire momentum, the sky is not the limit. It's just the beginning. Tune in, dream big, and partner with God to make the impossible possible. Your journey to divine success starts here.
Welcome to the Divine Millionaire Momentum Show. We are your hosts today, and we're super excited to have you guys. And let's talk about divine marketing strategy today. And first off, I want you to ask yourself, are you throwing things at the wall, metaphorically speaking, to see if they stick with your marketing strategy? Or do you actually have a strategy to build connections with other people, give incredible value, and of course, lead them to your products and services? Now, wherever you're at on that spectrum, we are going to help you here today. So thank you so much for joining us. And I want to start the question or the questions off here today with Allie telling us about the importance of relationship building, because that is what marketing is all about.
Oh my gosh, yes. Relationship building. So I would say it is the lifeblood of everything you're going to do in your business. Like, you have to build relationships. Like, that is the bottom line, because the relationship leads to loyal customers, clients, people that want to do everything you're doing. And so it's imperative. I will say that some people think they're focusing on relationship building and they're not actually focusing on it, or not enough, because I don't know about you, but it doesn't matter what profession you're in. It doesn't matter if you are an employee of a company that you're working for, or you're a business owner, or you're a parent. Like, you're always in sales, you're always in building those relationships with people, in your marriage, right? Like, all those different areas. And so really, I mean, building relationships applies to everything you do in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a quote that comes to mind from, one of our pastors, so to speak, in our church. I don't remember who it was, but it was something to the effect of, never let a problem to be solved be more important than a person to be loved.
Mm.
And it always makes me think about, relationship building, that's what this is about. Even in the scriptures, it talks about how, we should love others as we love ourselves. That's the first great commandment, is love. And that's how we do it. That's how we show that love, is relationships. And so, as we're talking about marketing today, I want you to really realize that marketing is your form of love, right? That Jesus Christ, when he was on this earth, he got to know every single person, whether he already knew them with his, I don't want to say magical powers, but I mean, his divine powers, right? But he knew their heart, and he knew them, even probably just by talking to them as well, so that they knew that he knew them. And it starts with that connection, right? And then we can really show the love that we have for them. So I completely agree with you. It is paramount that we focus on building relationships with people. And I want to take just a second before we dive into the specifics of marketing strategy and, what platforms you use and all that kind of stuff, to focus on relationships. I think that sometimes people think you have to know someone for like a whole month before you can offer them something, right? And then
Mhm.
there's, of course, those people who are like, get in your DM and they're like, hey, Allie, I know I don't know you, but I think you'd really love my product or service, right? So talk to me about that balance of finding a good relationship without spending too long and without spending too short.
Oh my gosh. That is the $1 million question. But I will say this. I will say it is discernment. It is listening, to the spirit as you're doing it. But I would say that it really comes down to the person that you're talking to. If the person, because it's not really about you, it's more about the getting to know the person that you're talking with. So as you are building that relationship, and when I say building in the relationship, it can be literally, hey, how are you? Good, how are you? I love to meet new people. I'm just making this up as I go, but you know what I mean? Like it can be literally maybe 5 minutes of just back and forth, like, tell me about your family, tell me about your business, what do you do? Like, tell me what your goals are for 2024. Like it can be very short and yet powerful connections because most of you know, Elise and I run our networking events, the Millionaire Momentum networking events. And when people are networking, they have 7 minutes total to connect with each other. So that's like what, three and a half,
Yeah.
3.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes each where they get to like talk and connect with each other. And you can learn a lot about somebody. And in fact, we just had a guy, Tom, if you're watching, we love you. We just had a guy join our team, and literally from start to finish, from this time we started talking until 7 minutes in, the last seven or the last minute, we were both crying. We were both like, oh my gosh, and there was like this really cool relationship. And it took 7 minutes from like a cold lead, someone I'd never met before, to someone that we're going to like do business together. We're going to do all kinds of really cool stuff together. Like it is possible to build a relationship that quickly. Now, of course, we didn't pitch each other at 7 minutes, but we knew, oh my gosh, we need to get on another call and kind of hash this out and figure out where we want to go from here because we know that we want to connect with each other. And so I think that's a really, really important distinction to make. Like it does not have to take a long time. It's better if it is if it's face to face, it goes faster than it does in chat or whatever, and we'll talk more about that later. But um in terms of the knowing the line, so to speak, it really is about kind of testing them and seeing where they're at. If they are someone that wants to chat a little bit more, you'll be able to tell. Like you'll be able to tell if you asking them about their business, if they start talking and lighting up and they're excited about it, great. But then if you kind of say, well, can I share what I do or whatever, and they're kind of like, no, or they're kind of standoffish, you just take your cues from them. And so some people will take a little bit longer, some people will take a lot shorter. But don't just spam people. Don't just like send a message when you don't even know the person. Like you're a professional connector, be professional.
Yeah, and
Sorry, I get passionate about this, Elise. You've opened
yes,
up
yes.
the floodgates.
No, and this is good. This is what we should be talking about because marketing is relationships. It is love, right? And so, as you're talking, the words came to mind is quality over quantity in any relationship, right? I know that when my husband and I we first got married, he was working a job and also was like a tech guy on the side. And so I hardly ever got to see him, which was really hard for the first year. But the time that we did have together, we made it count. And it's the same thing with our kids, but it's also the same thing with prospecting and meeting new people, is that it's not the amount of time that you're putting into it, it's the depth of the conversation and it's the focus of the conversation. One of the biggest things that we can get stuck in is our small talk trap, right? It's like, oh, Allie, nice to meet you. Tell me where you're from. Awesome. Now I know you live in Texas and I know you have this many kids and I know you went to this school. And how in the world am I supposed to get this back to my product or service? But if you stay in the vein of your product and service, I literally, this is how I do it. When I meet someone, someone on social media, and we'll talk about, how you actually get them to the DM here in just a second. But this is like my golden, like three piece part of the conversation to get them over to my other part of the conversation. That was a terrible way of saying that, but here's how it goes. So I say, hey, Allie, it looks like we're both in the same entrepreneur group. Tell me a little bit more about your business. And then she tells me that she's a Christian connector. And I'm like, oh, that sounds so awesome. I can tell you have a real passion for that. How long have you been doing that? And she tells me 14 years, right? And then I say, well, that's really great. Who are you looking to connect with, or who is your divine client? And she says, I'm looking for Christian women entrepreneurs. And then I say, awesome. Well, I have to tell you that we host a free networking event for Christian entrepreneurs, and I think you'd be a great addition. Would you like to come join us, or would you like the link to check it out? That's it. That's it.
Wow. Okay. You got to rewind that, y'all. You got to like take notes, mic drop. That's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. How
And
simple is that?
yeah, and we have a connection because I'm focused on her.
Mhm.
Right? I didn't even come out and tell her that I'm a Christian business strategist. It's just all about her, but it's in the vein of my products or services. It's in the path that I want to lead her down. And I already know that regardless of what she said, who she says she's looking for, she could say, dog walkers in the state of Connecticut. I we probably have someone in our networking events that she can connect with who is either in the state of Connecticut or knows a dog walker in the state of Connecticut. You never know, right?
Mhm.
It was totally random,
But I
but
love
but
it.
that's how easy it can be. And so I know that this we've done a show on prospecting before and that kind of thing, but I just felt really impressed too. Before we go into having an actual marketing strategy, I want you to see where you're leading it to. You can do amazing things on social media and emails and blogs and YouTubes and all those different types of things. But if you're not bringing it into a conversation with them and then leading that conversation into your sales funnel to be able to serve them even more, then you're missing the point.
Mm-hmm. And we don't want you to miss the point. We want you to succeed in your business and succeed in your life, and that revolves around knowing how to build really good relationships. And it's interesting, the people that I talk to that are very successful, that have, millions of dollars in the bank account, they know all these people and do other things. How did they get there? And 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, they all say, it's the relationships, it's the connections that I'm building, it's who I know, right? That there's that phrase, like, it's all about who you know.
Mhm.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And it really is, because when you can build those relationships and continue to build your network, um those people and those people and those people open up doors for you that you can never open up by yourself. And so if you're just so focused on your business and how can I get more clients and customers for me, that will come as a byproduct of you building connections. Like, that's the point. And so that's what I love what Elise said, and her formula for keeping it, close to business without getting in the weeds of small chat, right? But keeping it to where they feel like there's a genuine connection, and also that she was actively listening, asking questions, actively listening to see what their response was, to see if what she had would be a good fit. Right. Because sometimes when you're talking to someone and they say, oh, I need this and this and this, and it has nothing to do with what you offer, right? Which is a whole nother thing. And I'm not going to go off on tangents, but we help you with that too. But I really feel like if you don't have something that can help them, you can just be a good friend, and you might know somebody that you can refer them to
Mhm.
that can actually help them. And that is a true leader. That is a true connector, someone that really cares about other people. It's not just about what you can get, but it's how you can serve, and it will come back to you tenfold. It
Yeah.
really, really will.
Absolutely. Okay, well, let's get into our platforms here. So I know you got a question for me, Allie.
Yes, I do. Sorry. When we talk about connecting stuff, I just like go off on tangents because I love it. It's my
Me
favorite. So thank you for just letting me go. All right. So here's our question. So how do we do this, Elise, on social media? What does this look like on social media when you are building those connections?
Yeah, absolutely. So the marketing strategy on social media is think about social media as Jacob's well, right? The if you think about Jesus and the Samaritan woman, they got that connection at Jacob's well, right? And then she went off and told everybody how amazing Jesus Christ is. But they had that connection there, and then they had a real conversation right afterwards. So social media is just a place where you can get in the room with people. Think about it as if you go to a in-person networking event and there's maybe 50 people in the room. You aren't going to stand up on the table and say, hey, this is my sales pitch to everybody, right? But you're going to go around the room and see who you have a connection with and then book a call with them to get to know them a little bit more. Social media is the whole concept of getting people to raise their hand, right? That's the concept that you want to think about when you're doing your marketing strategy. Yes, we want to give value add posts. We want to show our expertise. We want to be able to give incredible value, help people come closer to God. If maybe you're sharing scriptures, there's a value add component for sure. And 80% of what you're doing should be value add. But the other 20%, we want you to identify those people who are a good fit for you. So for instance, we are looking for Christian entrepreneurs to come join our networking events, right? And so I can go into a non-Christian entrepreneur group. Maybe it's just like everyday entrepreneurs or whatever it's called, right? And I say, where are all my Christian entrepreneur friends? Raise your hand below. And then I've got a whole list of people that automatically I can start to connect with and use my same script that I use for everyone, right? Of building that relationship and moving them on to my first stage of my sales process. Or maybe I know that I'm looking for coaches. Coaches are a huge, industry for me and always have been. So maybe what I'll say is, who here is a health coach? And then the next week I'll say, who here is a mindset coach? And people love to raise their hand because it's like, yeah, that's me, right? And we don't pitch them in the comments. Please don't pitch people in the comments, but move them over to have to build a relationship with them in the DM. And then you can get to know them, see if what you have is a good fit for them or a referral, just like Ali said, to somebody else. But that's the whole point is on social media, we want 80% of it to be focused on value add. That way people come to you and say, man, Elise gives such great value that I've actually heard this from my clients. Elise gives such great value that I can't imagine what her paid stuff is like, right?
Mhm.
That's what you want to do. Or people start contacting you because they know that you're a coach or whoever you are in your industry, and that helps on the 80%. But the 20% is getting people to raise their hand or getting them to take an action with you of literally saying, hey, I'm a coach who helps people achieve their sales goals. Book a call with me, message me for more information, or I have this event coming up. So 20% is your sales. So 80% value add, 20% is hand raising and sales, and you always move that to the direct message.
I love that. And what does that look like in email? So when they're doing, so that was for social media. What does it look like for email?
Yeah, it is the same kind of concept. And this is what you're going to see with this divine marketing strategy is that it's divine because we're not relying on the platforms to do the work. We're using the platforms as a platform, as a place to stand up and get your message heard, and then get in the crowd and have those conversations with people. Think about politicians or maybe olden day politicians where they actually had a platform they stood up on and then they went down and kissed the babies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's the same kind of concept with email is that you're going to send value adds. I love sending a weekly like insights email. If you don't already know, we have our Millionaire Momentum Insights email that goes out on how to apply the Bible to your business. So, message us if you want to get on our email list because it's awesome.
Totally,
And
totally awesome.
Yeah, and we have a really high open rate because people know that we give value. So I'd
Mhm.
say have one email every single week where you're giving value. If at the very, very minimum, once a month, you can do that as well. But you want to stay top of mind, right? But
Mhm.
then also make sure that you're following the 80-20 rule here as well. 80% value add, 20% where you're getting people to, you're giving them a call to action. That call to action could be book a call with you or check out my products or services or come to my event. But the call to action could also be respond back to me and tell me what you got out of this email.
Mhm.
Your email algorithms, so to speak, and just like with social media, is that when people interact with you, then the algorithms of these platforms are going to say, oh, people really like what she's posting or what she's sending out. They're clicking links, they're responding back, they're commenting. And so I'm going to show that to more people, or I'm going to give that a higher read rate, or, I'm thinking there's a better word for it.
Mhm.
But those types of things matter. So not only are you helping your algorithm on that side, but you're also gaining that interest with that person. So if Allie comments back and she's like, yeah, I love step number 2, and this is my experience with this, then I can have a conversation with Allie, even on email. And I can say, awesome, thanks so much for responding. Tell me a little bit more about your business. And I'm right back into that vein that I talked about earlier.
Mm. Mm-mm-mm. I love this, Elise. This is so awesome. I could just listen to you all day. Because I love the fact that you break it down, right? Like so simply, right? And it really does come down to all these things that Elise is sharing are amazing. But if you're not consistent with it and you don't do it, it's not going to do anything, right?
Mhm.
Like you have to be willing to like put in a little bit of effort and do that. But how cool is it that your job gets to be, I get to go be a professional friend maker. I get to go be a professional connector, and I get to talk to people and get to know them and everything, and lead them through a process, just like what Elise was talking about, whether it's through social media or email or other ways, that I can lead them to something that can help them and serve them and make their lives better. And that would be your product or service or your company or whatever it is that you're providing. But that's what we get to do. Like when you're a business owner, it doesn't matter what the product is, what the service is, what company you're with, what if it's your own thing, if it's something else, like that doesn't matter because the process is exactly the same. And once I realized that, I was like, oh, okay, so there is a formula. There is a way for us to be able to do this, you know?
Absolutely. So give us some tips on other ways, right? Like blogs and YouTube channels, podcasts, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so there's a lot of other ways that you can do it besides just social media like Facebook, LinkedIn, all of those. So there is YouTube, there is podcasts, there's blogs, there's all kinds of different ways that you can also give value and get people interested in what you're doing. I would say what we're doing right now, our podcast that we do every single week, like our show that we do every single week, is giving value, right? Like we are giving you value, we're helping you and serving you in some way, and then we invite you to come check out our networking events or come, get on our email list or whatever. That it's intentional, right? We want you to be in our space. We want you to learn more about what we're doing, and we want you to join us in our mission, right? But we also are not shoving it down your throat, and we're not like, being spammy and icky. We are doing the 80% of value, value, value. And then every once in a while, we invite you to come with us. And that's what you're supposed to do when it comes to, building those relationships and all of that in terms of your business. The thing I love about YouTube specifically is that number one, with YouTube, you see the people, right? Like video is so powerful because it engages all the senses. So when we put this episode of our show on our YouTube channels, it's really cool because you can see us, you can hear us, like you would a podcast, and then you can see like our body language. You can really get to know us on a very intimate level without actually having to get on the phone with us or talk to us or anything. You feel like you already know us, right? And so video is super, super powerful. And the other thing I love about YouTube specifically is that it will live on forever. In social media, you'll have it there unless you pin it like to your top of your newsfeed or something in Facebook or whatever. But if you don't pin it and you post it, it's great, but then it goes away after a while. right? With YouTube, it's like there forever and people can find it years later and you can still get people interested in what you're doing because of that. So, and then I would say podcasts are very similar as well. They live on forever. People can search them, find them later. And so, and same with blogs, same thing. Like, and so you want to, start with one, obviously start with one platform that you're familiar with, but then from there you can branch out and you can see how you can repurpose the value that you have that you're giving out to all the social media platforms, to all the different channels and things that you're doing, emails, everything. You can repurpose those same things and give value for years and years and years and years to come. And that's what we're finding too, even at least like with you creating all of the things that you've created in the past, right? Like all your courses and classes and everything. Like we're like, oh my gosh, we can reuse these because they're awesome and they're, they still, and everything. And so just look at all the content that you're putting out as value for your people and enjoy doing it. Like don't look at it as a drudgery. Look at it as like, I get to bless people. Like I get to go out and I get to serve people with what I offer and who I am. And people will buy from who they know, like, and trust. And so that's part of the 80% too. When you're sending out that value, there's that know, like, and trust, which is the whole point of why they want to buy from you anyways. So it's just as important as inviting them to see your product or service.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just two things I would add before we wrap up here, because that went really fast because it's a topic that we both love. But first off is always have a call to action. And the call to action does not have to be a marketing call to action, right? It doesn't have to be book a call with me, go to my website, check out my event, whatever. It can literally be tell me your thoughts about this quote in the comments below. Always get people to interact with you. The number one reason why people are not having as much engagement on their social media posts or their emails or their blogs or anything like that, any platform, is because we don't always remember to ask for interaction. Isn't that crazy?
True.
In fact, if you're watching this, we want to see a comment below. What has stood out to you in this conversation? Because we don't always remember to do that either, right? But it's really, really important to ask for that interaction because people are going to see your stuff. There's so many people who are watching what you're doing every single day and they're not saying anything. And we need to sometimes invite them to take that next step with us, whether that's just interacting on our post or booking a call with us. The last thing I would say with this is, and I'm kind of wondering like what people think about this episode, because when we say, what can I do to create a divine marketing strategy? You're probably like, okay, you're going to tell me how many times I should post and what I should do over here. And that's usually me. Like I'm very much a strategist, right? And there are so many coaches and people out there who will give you a whole calendar of stuff to do and all this kind of stuff. And I've done that in the past with my clients too, but it really boils down. It really boils down to building relationships. And so as you've seen with any kind of platform, be consistent on that platform. I love how Ali said, start with one. Don't overwhelm yourself with all the different platforms that are out there. Start with one, be consistent on the 80-20 rule and bringing people off of that platform into a conversation with you. Once you do that, then you can really focus on building that relationship one-to-one, and you can then lead them to the next stage of your sales process for their benefit, not just for yours. So that's what it boils down to. A divine marketing strategy is focused on love and building that relationship. And of course, keeping God at the center of all of it. God knows how you can best serve that person. So when you are, even if you're utilizing ChatGPT to create your content, right? When you are creating the content, invite God to be in that process. When you're in the conversation with someone, invite God to be in that process. That if you focus on relationships and love, then you can't go wrong with your divine marketing strategy.
Amen. Amen.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us here today. We hope to see you on another episode, and we will see you next time. Thank you for joining us on this inspiring journey of divine millionaire momentum.
Don't miss out on connecting with other Christian ladypreneurs and building valuable relationships. Join our free virtual networking events every Thursday at m2networking.com.
Ready to take your success to the next level? Be sure to book a call with us to explore the incredible resources, tools, and opportunities that we have to empower your journey at m2networking.com/call.
Remember, with God, all things are possible. Until next time, stay inspired, believe in Christ, and receive the wealth and prosperity that God has for you.